Good evening. It's Sunday, the 5th of February, and it's time for the news on RIK2. There is a tendency for the creation of a new situation and posing new conditions at the ongoing Cyprus issue negotiations, which concern the rights of third parties and not the citizens of the country, said President Anastasiades, addressing a celebration of St. Maron at the Church of the Maronite Catholic Community in Nicosia. The President expressed the hope of a clearer picture regarding the Cyprus settlement prospects in the near future if Turkey put in a positive contribution. He made clear that it's one thing to be responsible and keep the dialogue and the hope going, and quite another to deviate from issues of principle, something which will not happen. Asked on the reaction of European Union partners to his communication on Turkey's unacceptable demand that its citizens enjoy the 4 EU fundamental freedoms in Cyprus following any settlement, President Anastasiades said that both the leaders and EU institutions were fully understanding. In response to criticism that a second conference on Cyprus to discuss security and guarantees and scheduled for next month was premature, the President said that a conference at ministerial level was not the final phase of the conference process, but the continuation in what has been set off in Geneva on January the 12th. He further stressed the need to keep the talks alive in order to establish real intentions and overcome the Turkish pretext of the April referendum on constitutional changes. President Anastasiades said that the National Council will convene next week to brief political leaders on the ongoing related developments. Authorities were investigating the cause of a fire which broke out last night at a Colossi institution, killing one man and causing at least 17 people to suffer smoke inhalation. The fire was spotted by a staff member at the Ayos Ioannis home around 9:30 in the room of a 58-year-old on the building's second floor. A fire service team with 3 vehicles rushed to the scene and evacuated the 45 residents and 3 staff in time, while also managing to contain the fire to the room. The 58-year-old's charred body was found following the firefighting effort. Coroner Sophoklis Sophokleos performed an autopsy at the scene. According to initial reports cited by Cyprus news agency sources, the 58-year-old victim, with a history of psychiatric problems, was the one who had set the fire. An intoxicated man driving with almost 10 times the allowed alcohol level in his blood caused an accident last night at the Gaimagli suburb of Nicosia. The 38-year-old was driving along the Kantaras Avenue when he lost control of the vehicle, veered into the opposite lane of traffic and collided with a motorbike driven by a 26-year-old man. Following the accident, he underwent a breathalyzer test, which showed 200 milligrams of alcohol compared to the limit of 22. He was taken to the Nicosia traffic station, where the final test did not even register on the machine, and he was arrested. The 26-year-old driver of the motorbike suffered light injuries. He was treated at the Nicosia General ER and discharged. The intoxicated driver is expected to face charges. In a second incident in Paphos, a man was stopped for speeding and the breathalyzer test showed more than 5 times the allowed level of alcohol in his blood. He subsequently attacked 2 officers, causing bruises and lacerations to one of them. Police have expressed concern over the increasing number of driving while intoxicated incidents. The force spokesman, Andreas Angelidis, said authorities were looking into raising the penalties for DUI offences in parallel with prevention campaigns throughout the year. Residents of Dorinia near the occupied city of Famagusta were told that a series of explosions that have caused alarm since yesterday were shots from anti-tank weapons, part of an ongoing Turkish occupation army exercise. The explosions came from the Monastiragi area near the occupied Dorinia coastline. The municipality had informed residents that the exercise would continue until late afternoon. Local authorities protested over the fact that they had not been informed by the UN peacekeeping force, in spite of continued appeals in order to reassure citizens. The municipality will be making representations over being kept in the dark. A U.S. appeal court denied an emergency appeal from the U.S. Department of Justice to restore an immigration order from President Donald Trump, barring citizens from 7 mainly Muslim countries and temporarily banning refugees. The ruling said that the appellant's request for an immediate administrative stay pending full consideration of the emergency motion is denied. A reply from the Justice Department in support of the appeal was due tomorrow. The department filed the appeal a day after a federal judge in Seattle ordered Trump's travel ban to be lifted. The president's January 27th order had barred admission of citizens from the 7 nations and refugees for 90 days. It was filed as many travelers raced to enter the country while the ban was lifted. The government warned the decision posed an immediate harm to the public and second-guessed the president's national security judgment. The appeal now goes to a 3-judge panel, which can act at any time to uphold the order or suspend it pending a full appeal. Turkish police today detained some 400 suspected members of Islamic State in anti-terror raids in 6 provinces, the biggest roundup to target the organisation in Turkey. According to the state news agency, those held were mainly foreign nationals. At least 60 suspects were detained in the capital Ankara, while 150 were arrested in Şanlıurfa province near the Syrian border. 39 people, mainly foreigners, were killed at New Year when an Islamic State member opened fire inside the Reyna nightclub in Istanbul. Most of the other alleged Islamic State militants were detained in simultaneous counter-terror operations across 5 major provinces, including Konya, from where the New Year terrorist had set off. In addition to the latest arrests, Turkey says almost 800 people, including 350 foreigners, remain in detention, some of whom have been convicted, over suspected links to the jihadist group. Libya's Coast Guard intercepted at least 1,131 migrants near the western city of Sabratha over the course of a week. Almost 500 had been intercepted on 4 inflatable boats off Sabratha's coast on Thursday, and some 700 picked up on January the 27th from 3 wooden vessels. They were mostly from sub-Saharan countries and included a big number of women and children. Those intercepted on January the 27th also included migrants from Syria, Tunisia, Libya and the Palestinian territories. Smugglers had opened fire, attempting to block the coast guards from taking those migrants from their boats. Libya has become the main point of departure for migrants trying to cross the Mediterranean by boat to Europe since a route between Turkey and Greece was largely closed off last year. People smugglers launch migrants in flimsy vessels that sometimes break down or sink before they are spotted by EU or NGO rescue boats. Almost 5,000 have died attempting the crossing last year. Now for the weather forecast. It will be fine at first tomorrow, but will become cloudy at times with local rain. Winds will initially be light variable, force 3 to 4, but will gradually turn southwesterly to northwesterly. The sea will be slight. Temperatures will reach 18 Celsius inland, 19 in coastal areas and 9 over the mountains. The depth of snow is 65 centimetres on Mount Olympus and 55 over the Troodos Square. That's all from us here. Join us tomorrow for more news in English. Have a very good evening.